Man, it's like Dead Rising. Like when Frank's in the TV room and he walks in, he's looking at the TVs and like some poor woman's being destroyed. He's like, what in the world? Why? Dude, it took me like 40 seconds to confirm I was even live today. That's strange. AD, great question, man. No Whataburger for David Starr. That is very, very sus. That makes me very uncomfortable with David Starr today. You know, that is so out of character for Mr. Starr that we are concerned. So let's go ahead and bring up this screen. Make sure I don't have anything open that I shouldn't have open. Oh shit, that's what I gotta do. I do have to start the scraper. Let me do that real fast. And then I can just let that run in the background while I do the show. So, oh god, is my internet fucking dying again? What the hell? No, I'm just logged out of Twitter. What is going on? All right. So feel free to drop any comments or anything in the chat and we can discuss them. Oops. Let's see, download, scraper, nude scraper. All right. Now, let me share this. Let's see, I'm getting questions. Oh, just thank you, ACS, for letting Mastukas know that I'm live. Let's get that off the screen. Okay, so when we're looking at this race here, my first thing that I want to focus on is the fact that, like, how poorly Cole Custer has been in this starting range. And so, like, when you look back at like the race in March at Las Vegas, you know, Custer started first, he finished the second, but that was like by pure fucking luck, man. This guy was like the fifth, sixth best car in this Las Vegas race. And so when I'm looking at where I'm at in terms of my interests and stuff, I don't have any interest in Cole Custer today. You know, I just want to see more speed, especially here in Texas. Let's have this be a deciding factor if we want to chase Custer towards the rest of the 1.5s that we'll be seeing, you know, through the next month and a half. And so I have no interest in Cole Custer. Okay, my interests lie primarily with Chandler Smith, Justin Allgaier. That is where I'm at. It's seeming like a lot of people are going to want to go to Jesse Love. And let's go ahead and copy this so I can open it over here. My projections are not disagreeing with that per se, but I think that Chandler Smith and Allgaier end up passing Jesse Love. And I would honestly lean towards like Cole Custer possibly staying third and fourth all day. And when we're looking at Custer versus Love here, you know, I like Custer's short run speed. Now, I know Jesse Love has the inside lane, but I think heads up between Custer and Love, like, I think Custer can realistically get around him. But in terms of running away with this race, I'm very hesitant to say that. And so for me, when I'm looking at Jesse Love, I'm going to tell you my exact projections for this fellow, and then that might explain why I have this opinion on or not. I have him finishing fifth today, fifth to sixth, with 21 laps led, 18 fast laps, and that is 44.35 DraftKings points. It's a 5.2. Okay, if you bump him up in laps led, you know, you give him like 32. And he finishes in the same form. We're right at 47. I don't think Jesse leads that much today. Like I said, I would rather prioritize chasing both Chandler Smith and Justin Allgaier in my lineups, and that is primarily what I'm wanting to do, and probably what I'm going to end up doing with those builds and stuff, because I actually really like how these lineups are coming out, because it's very much like Chandler Smith, Justin Allgaier, and then somebody like Jeb Burton, who's starting 21st, who clearly has a car better than 21st. You get to SVG, who's starting dead last in a car that just on pure speed alone is going to be like 18th, 16th, 15th in terms of speed. I would actually rather chase those individuals than kind of dying on the hill of Jesse Love. My highest, let's see where my highest Jesse Love lineups are, because I think that is the biggest talking point so far. And so my highest ones out of my highest lineups, I have 6th, 10th, 12th, 13th, 15th, 22nd, 24th, 25th, 39th, 42, and 54. Those are where my highest projected lineups fall that have Jesse Love in them. And in those lineups, they're very much a 3 lap leader type of build, which I am not very much on board with. Like this, for example, it's like Jesse Love, Chandler Smith, Allgaier, Corey Heim, and then you're basically like punting and stuff, which isn't my favorite type of build specifically for a race like this one with only 200 laps. I feel like we're leaving quite a lot on the table. And we're looking at these cars here. Yet again, we've seen this before from Custer, that he has good speed. We saw it at Vegas, and I mean, we've seen it at short tracks, but we're not necessarily looking at those as well. I'm concerned about this. Like, yet again, when we're looking at where guys are falling in line at, Custer is falling in line right around 4th to 6th best car in these races, especially when you go back and you see that he's done this before in practice. I'm probably gonna make, I don't know how many lines I'm gonna do right now. Might do like 15-20% of Custer, but past that, I'm basically just gonna play Justin Allgaier and Chandler Smith in every lineup. That's where I'm at. This is where I'm concerned about Jesse Love, especially when this is basically everybody who's going to be up front. I'm not playing, like, personally for me, I'm not playing Ryan Sieg. I don't think I'm going to get to him. But when we're looking at where at least everybody else is that are expected to run up front, Allgaier, Smith, Truex, Jesse Love, Sammy Smith, Austin Hill, yada yada yada, and we see Jesse Love showing that he has a pretty clear route of falling back through the field and not being able to maintain a running position up there. You know, same thing when we look at Austin Hill. He has not been a top 3 car at these intermediate tracks. He's very much, 7th to 4th and stuff. He does. So, like, if we're, this is basically a question of at least where I'm at. If, regardless of price, if this was Austin Hill starting first, would I want to play him? I would still bump Austin Hill down to finish like 4th, 5th, and 6th and stuff. And so for me, I'm probably just not as high on Jesse Love as probably the rest of the field is. And that's just kind of where I'm at. And mainly I'm just trying to explain that. Also, I apologize that the sun is not out. So if I'm very dark, I do apologize. What else you guys seeing here? Yeah, I mean, personally for me, yeah, I mean, Kyle Sieg, top 20s, okay? Like, good for him. Not Kyle Sieg. I think I said Ryan Sieg. Oh, Kyle Sieg. So, like, Kyle Sieg is starting 23rd. Like, yeah, sure, top 20 is nice. But this isn't even including, how volatile Texas is. Kind of using context clues of like, why is this one of Kyle Sieg's best racetracks? Well, it's a better racetrack for quite a lot of these guys in the back and a lot of the guys in the 6 and 5K range because there's been so many crashes and stuff. Like, I don't have anybody projected for under 15 points today. Other than Blaine Perkins, and I have Blaine Perkins for 12. But literally all the backmarker cars, I have them passing at least like 7 guys due to wrecks and stuff. And so, yeah, sure, Kyle Sieg has been better at this track specifically, but with how this race can play out, like, I'm very much open to punting at the bottom of the starting grid with Starr, Gase, Ellis, Chad, Cram, Smithley, Leland, Patrick. Like, those are my priorities in the value range. Like, that entire 30th to 38th is where I end up when I go. Also, what the hell are people building with last night? How did I have 2 lineups cash and like Gray had 6 points? Like, what are people doing? Like, it's like, what the fuck, bro? I don't even understand how that is even feasible. I have no clue how that's even possible. And I have no clue why Kyle was not chalk. I don't understand that at all. He wasn't chalk at Bristol. He wasn't chalk at Texas. I'm baffled by how these people are building. I don't get these lower series and how people build lineups. So at least for me, I've seen that, I want to chase Taylor Smith. I want to chase Allgaier. Gray, I'd actually be more interested in Gray than Jesse Love, but I mean, they're clearly, at least if I remember correctly, like Gray's 9,000, Jesse Love is 885. I'd actually probably want to chase Gray if I'm going to be in that range, just due to what JGR is able to do. Like Taylor Gray actually knows how to drive. That's not saying Jesse Love doesn't know how to do it either, but like Taylor Gray is like a pretty decent driver. Him jumping into a car that is by default a top 4 car, he has the ability to keep it as a top 4 car. No real interest in Riley Herbst at $9,500. That's a bit expensive. Ryan Truex 10-3, just can't get to it. Too expensive for me. I'm not playing AJ, not playing Sammy Smith. A lot of my builds are probably going to lean. Let's see my highest owned guys at the moment here. Or maybe not my highest owned, but my highest projected fellas. Highest exposure rates. Those are Allgaier, Smith, Custer. Custer is probably because he's the 1v1 between Allgaier and Smith in these lineups. But then it's Corey Heim, SVG, Jeb Burton. So you can clearly see kind of the builds that I'm working with there. Jesse Love is in the top 9, but man, I think we might have like a Jesse Love chalk play starting first. What the hell, man? Nobody's been playing Love this entire time. That's like if Austin Hill's just chalk out of nowhere. That's like, are we really seeing a lot of stuff here? Like, I mean, when we look at like, just where Jesse Love fell in line at Las Vegas, he was like the 11th, 10th best car, man. Like, what are we seeing from Love here? Yeah, he got trapped lap down, but still, like, what are we seeing from Love here, man? I'm a bit interested here, or not interested. I'm a bit perplexed, rather. Why Jesse Love is getting bumped up so much here. Anyway, let's see what you guys are saying so far. I don't even really like that Jesse Love price range in general. Like I said, I'd probably prioritize Gray, but I just don't think you need to be in the AK range today. I don't unless you're building like a balanced line, which if you're building a balanced line, you should just stack the top 10. I don't think that's going to be very likely because you're probably going to have a lot of guys scoring like low 40s. But if you want to be in that price range, like I'd then play Love, Gray, and Herbst together with like, Chandler Smith or Allgaier and stuff. Like I'd probably be stacking the front if I like Jesse Love, I'd probably play the other guys around him in that price range because I think all those are going to be very similar or race very similar, especially in a race like this. We're going to see the guys spread out. Once we get away from the restarts, fast guys are going to be up front, slow guys are going to be in the back. Okay, yeah. So like, Custer's been sponsored by these guys before at this track. I don't know. Just for me, I just think we need to be very, very hesitant on Custer today. And that's by somebody who's played a lot of Custer. And that's not because, man, Custer hasn't performed. That's like green flag drops and Custer has not had the speed in the race that I've been expecting. And so, I mean, I don't think that's bias. That's just me looking at where Custer's been at, dot him down for 6th, 5th and stuff. But I think it's going to be very difficult for him to beat these JGR cars and even Allgaier and stuff. Yeah, no, dude, the Bubba fans they're so funny. And it's always like, it's this, I've been doing this bit for like 3 years now. It's the same. It's like twice a month. I just get to go on the Bubba Wallace rant. And then they get surprised that I know exactly all the wins that Bubba has. Like, it's insane how fucking pissed off those Bubba guys get. It's so funny. It entertains me so much. I'm such a sick individual. I just love being mean and causing stuff to happen. Anyway, so when we're looking at builds, So this is the thought process that I'm kind of at. So like, yeah, sure, Chandler Smith, Allgaier, like you guys know that's where I'm at. It's 6,900 on average left over for your players. I like SVG. He's 72. Like that's ridiculous. Like why is he $7,200? That he can very easily pay that off. It doesn't even matter that like this will be his take out Atlanta. This is his second 1.5 in history. I just don't see how he doesn't pass 15 cars in this race and score like 37, 38 points and be one of the best value plays on the slate. I don't get that at all. And you're telling me that like, what is Sheets? Let's see what Sheets has in ownership wise. Because SaberSim, which is kind of, this is very concerned. This is like a red flag. Dude, me and SaberSim have like Jesse Love. I mean, I got him for 44 points. SaberSim has him for 32. But when you look at their projections of like the amount of laps that he's leading and his fast laps, I'm like, holy shit, we're like very close to each other. That's very concerning. But they got good old SVG at like 8.6, which is that's difficult. Also, if you want my projections, if you want to use Sheets's projections, not just for NASCAR, but for any sports. If you want to specifically for NASCAR, you can join the NASCAR package here. But if you want, let me pull this up. If you want, let me make sure my scraper's working. It is. If you want the projections for not only NASCAR, but for all the sports that Sheets plays and that we cover here, you can join us in the link description below. And if you want to try SaberSim or get SaberSim for a much cheaper rate because you get our projections plus them, yet again, you can get that through the description. Let's see what SVG is. Sheets has him at 18. That's much more realistic. But still, like, dude, you're telling me I get SVG like sub 20% ownership at $7,200. Like, I'm just gonna play him like crazy. When we start looking around the rest of the field that we're looking at, like Parker Retzloff, Corey Heim, Parker Kligerman scream to me as plays that I'd want to do, and I understand that is like slightly below Jesse Love, but I would rather play them, and I'd much rather play Corey Heim over Jesse Love because I think Corey Heim outscores him. When we start looking at the 6K range, this is kind of a dead range because you have, or at least the bottom tier of it, because like I'm not going to play Daniel Dye, regardless of what he did yesterday. He literally only worked because everybody crashed out at the bottom, and Daniel Dye got saved by being on the lead lap when that yellow came out, which isn't bad, but like, congratulations for Daniel Dye actually finishing a race. Also, secondly, Chris Wright is incredible. Like, everybody who's at least new doesn't know the lore about Chris Wright. Like, this guy, I talk shit about a lot of people. Nobody ever gets mad at me for talking shit about Chris Wright. He wrecks in everything, and it's literally him verbatim. He's not wrecking people in the back anymore. He has a car fast enough to wreck actual drivers. That's crazy. Thad Moffitt and Faction 46 is just wild. I equally hate him as much as Mussolini. But anyway, when we look in the 6K range, like Anthony Alfredo at 63, not playing. Sorry. Kyle 61, not going to play. Jeremy Clements 59. My projections like him, but I would much rather play people in the 5K range, especially in a race to where we have seen the survival rate of this race. We have wrecks. Specifically, we have more wrecks in the mid-pack and in the back field, but that is going to help out a lot of the guys starting dead last, a lot of the guys starting the rear. Like, I'm fine with David Starr. I'm really fine with Chad Fincham. The fact that Chad is $4,500. If you put him with Chandler Smith, Allgaier, SVG, Chad, you got $8,000 left. You can play like some really, really decent plays. Depending on who you get to or where you pivot down elsewhere, but you can very easily get to Corey Heim, Parker Retzloff, Benedetto, Parker Kligerman. Like that. That's the build that I would want to go with today. Where are we at here? Favorite play 65 to 75. But it's SVG for sure. But past him, it'd be SVG than Parker Retzloff in that order, and I think those two should be priorities. I'd much rather have SVG and Retzloff than Jesse Love. Even if Jesse Love can, I don't think he leads over like 32 laps. I don't think that happens, man. Just he should get past on these runs. When we're yet again, yeah, sure, it's one session, but this is where we have to compare where RCR. We could even look at his teammate Hill as well. Like we'll just look at Hill, because we understand these guys are going to be very similar, and yet again, they are very close in terms of their runs here. And yet again, Hill falls off. I'm assuming he got stuck in traffic, or just completely fell off a cliff, which seems like he actually fell off here. Then when we look at Love, very similar start in both these cars, both the team's cars, and these guys run very similar to each other. That's why Jesse Love is a great play, and that's why I have been playing him. That's why I'm like, why is the chalk coming now? Because Jesse Love's been starting like the mid-teens or like, 8th and 9th and stuff. Those are where we want to play him because he can get to 5th and 6th and hold on. But him starting first with this speed, lined up with not just the practice data, but where everybody else is lined up, like Chandler Smith, Allgaier, should be faster than him and should get the lead in this race. I don't remember the point I was making here. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, so going back to the 65-75 range, it's SVG and Parker Retzlaff. I believe Jeb Burton is starting 21st. He's 65 as well. I see that Sterling likes him. Like, those would be the three guys I'd focus on. So, like, Jeb Burton is a guy that we have seen speed from consistently. If I can find where we are at here. Where are we at, Jeb? Where's Jeb at? When we look at where he was in terms of Las Vegas, right around the 16th best car, and then you look at Parker Retzlaff, and this is just looking at the last one here. But you look at Parker Retzlaff, who ran into issues with the fuel pump, but when he was actually racing, he was very much a 25th best car. That's just Las Vegas. But when we look at where these guys are actually performing at and where they're actually racing, like people were like, man, Retzlaff seems like great play at Richmond starting first, and he fell through the field. But like that 16th is like an actually good like performance. I understand that's Richmond, but like 16th, 11th, you're telling me like we've actually had decent speed out of the Jordan Anderson cars finally. Like these are both cars that should project to finish like right around 18th to 14th in these races, and so like those would be where I want to go. I don't know, or maybe Love isn't even that owned. I just don't think that he's like the end all be all of this race, man. I don't see it. So maybe I'm wrong there, but that's where I'm leaning towards. I hope so. I think SVG is a great play. Yeah, sure. I mean, this track is far more difficult than Las Vegas, and SVG, I believe he DNF'd at Las Vegas. He had an engine issue at Las Vegas, but like, he's not an idiot, man. In terms of raw speed, I know, we're looking at SVG like he's literally just trying to survive here. But then you compare it to where AJ is, who knows what he's doing. Wow, man, we got AJ didn't show up. Wow, we got speed, man. You look at the fraud, Josh Williams. Why is Josh Williams in this car, man? Why is he in this car, man? Why is he in this car? And then you have I just went blank. Who's in the 10? Don't tell me. It's Daniel Dye, right? Pretty sure Daniel Dye is in the 10. I gotta fucking sign into Twitter again. I'm not doing that right now. Who's in the 10 car? I'm pretty sure it's Daniel Dye, but let me check the entry list. Or actually, let me just check colleague. I'm pretty sure it's Daniel Dye. You don't have to type in the chat. I will find out on my own. SVG is there. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel Dye. So he's in the 10. So when we look at where Daniel Dye is at as well, in terms of speed, god damn it, these guys fucking blow, man. Okay, so like the real speed with AJ, like we understand what this car has. Bad examples because these guys are literally new to this car, and Williams sucks. So like SVG flat out shouldn't. at least have like a 20th place car in speed alone. That's why I have SVG, and SVG will probably be in all my lineups. Yet again, some people get mad that I'm very aggressive on stuff, but that's where I'm at. It typically works out enough to where when I'm right, it makes up for all the losses. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Also, kind of getting back to like, in terms of the 1.5s, I think 29 slates of the season are 1.5s. Total slates in the season like 96. Like a third are these tracks. I just got to nail one of them. I just got to nail like 2 slates a season and everything's fine. So now let's look at the bottom range. You're asking about Leland, who has been pretty decent. Honeyman's been actually pretty good. I've been very shocked by Young Motorsports here. But this is where we can start looking at where we're at here. So we got Leland. He's 46. Like I said, I like Chad. Not because of MBN, not because I'm biased towards, Giga Chad and MBM and everything, but I like the safety here. Now, I think Leland finishes way better under green. Actually, these guys might be identical. So, like, Chad works a lot in a wreck fest, very easily finishes 28th. Leland can drive up and finish 24th in a green race. And so both these guys are pretty great plays here. That's why I'm also so happy punting down to 4,500, 4,600. And then you don't need Jesse Love. You could play the best car of the season, the second best car of the season, who will most likely run 1 and 2nd all day. You can chase the more expensive place differential that we saw, not just because everybody wrecked, but we saw a lot of place differential come through yesterday. Yet again, even before people started wrecking, like Chris Wright, raw speed, able to drive through the field. Crafton, raw speed, able to drive through the field. Like this is a track that I'm perfectly okay paying up for place differential, especially when the cheapest guy in our lineups are starting in the back of the field, who at least these guys, Leland and Chad, shouldn't be the people wrecking. They're both very good at taking care of their car. Chad specifically, like the safety factor of Chad is like where you want to be at. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, no, Williams only has his car because he parked. Like, it's so stupid. We should not be rewarding stuff like that. I just don't get it, man. Ryan Ellis, I would prioritize Chad, Leland, and probably he's 4K. Man, if you need to be in the 4K range, I'm fine with Ellis. I would actually Ellis is fine too. So when we look at where Ellis is at, like we just look at good old Las Vegas. Ellis had where are we at here? Ellis had like a 22nd, 23rd place car. So like Leland, Ellis, and Chad are all in play. And I think you should have one of those 3 in every lineup. I just think this race lines up great for that. And Chad is probably, I'm biased to him, but the 2 better plays in that would be Leland and Ryan Ellis. So like yet again, if you're playing Chandler Smith SVG, then you go in the 4K range, you can get to the 8K range, who are like actually going to pass people. Retzloff, Corey Heim, Matt Benedetto. Yet again, I'm fine with paying up for place differential. Depending on if you just want to go with like a 1 lap leader build between Chandler Smith or Allgaier, then it just opens up even more. Because then, where are we at? Use Ellis for this example. So like Chandler Smith, Ryan Ellis, SVG, 8,900 on average. Well, then we can just start jamming people who are going to finish in the top 9 regardless of what they do. So you can get to Sam Mayer, you can get to Brandon Jones, you can get to Parker Kligerman, you can get to Taylor Gray, or even Jesse Love. Like that's a build that I would rather do Jesse Love in, like a Chandler Smith, Ryan Ellis, SVG, Jesse Love, because then we're able to afford like more, plays that like make sense, like throwing Heim in there. Then you're at 10-2. You can get to Sheldon Creed, you can get to Sammy Smith or Sam Mayer. Like that's a build that Jesse Love would fall into. That's more of building for Jesse Love, not just landing on him because we think he's going to run away with the race. And yeah, Travis, I'll catch you up. No worries here. So we are so in a lot of races, Travis, maybe you might find, you want to play guys up front on a short track, or you want to stack the back at like Daytona and Talladega and stuff. But for the most part, I think that's a bad question or a bad starting point of, do I want to play guys starting up front, or do I want to play guys in the back? It really depends, or not even depends. I think you would default to what projections are looking at. And then once you see where projections are leaning towards, like that will then direct you to where lineups fall in line at. Um, Yet again, so like for example, like if you, which I would encourage most people to do this, like I've been complimented by this by other people, but like we'll look at the truck series yesterday. So like this is how I track lineups, okay? And I mean, you could see, 100% gray or Anchorman stuff, but like based on your question, you'd be like, do you stack guys from the front? Do you stack guys in the back? Well, like that, like I said, that's the wrong place to start off, because projections were showing that, like, yeah, we want to play these guys here. These are people who just will either survive crashes or pass people or whatever. And then, we just played Kyle Busch. And so, like, if I just answer that question, it'd be like, well, you got to play guys in the back. That doesn't necessarily help you. Whereas projections show that, like, well, we want to do this. And, like, as I said, the two these two lines cashed. I cashed in the fucking 10 with these two lines. This one, and I had two more cashing because of Chris Wright. Then he wrecked. Like, what are people doing? How are people playing these? I should have no chance in hell of even making money here. I had somebody who scored 6 points in every lineup. Like, what the fuck are people doing? Um, but like, at least this is how I view optimal lineups and how I track lineups and stuff like that. But so like in a race like this, like asking, do you stack the front, do you stack the back? Like, I'm not trying to be like trick projections or like, but like that's like, you should never start off by asking stacking the front, stacking the back. That I don't even think that's a question you should be asking in general. Like, if you just end up playing guys up front or in the back, that's because you've been shown to go that way. Um, just in there. At least that's where I'm at, or how I would answer that. But in terms of the quick recap, um, I like Chandler Smith, Allgaier, SVG as like the building blocks of my lineups, and then paying up for the place differential that I can get to once I've played those guys. And I really like Corey Heim. I like Parker Kligerman today. And so I'm going to try and get to those guys. And I think punting down to either Ellis, Chad, or Leland makes a lot of sense today. That's how I would. That's the summary here. Yeah, so we can go ahead and look at the practice stuff. So what do you want to look at specifically, Kevin? Because I mean, this is everything on the screen, but we could very easily talk more specifically. Oh my God, I haven't been showing the screen. I'm so sorry. So like this is where we're at in terms of practice speed or practice stuff. So I'm so sorry I wasn't showing the screen this entire time. I just went on a half-hour rant. It didn't show the screen, and so this is basically just showing everything that I've been looking at today. That's kind of where everybody falls in line at. Regarding the example that I just gave Travis there, this was the lineups that I played for the truck series. You can see they're very stacked, very much back heavy, just because that's where I'm at. But projections were showing that, like, man, if these two guys work, this is where the rest of the lineups fall in line. Again, I just went on that rant, but like, I can't even fathom how these two lineups cashed. I don't get it. I don't understand how these lineups cashed, man. There's no dead to rights. The field has me. I have a guy scoring 6 points. How am I? Like, what are people doing? This is the back of the field here. And then averages and stuff are here. I haven't posted this in the Discord as well. I guess I got distracted yesterday and just didn't do it. I'll post this in Discord following this because I normally do that, and I guess I forgot today. But if you ever want to view this or have it yourself, what is it? Kevin. It's not something that I sell because it's NASCAR's data. I just pull it in general, but I normally always just throw it in Discord just so people have it. So you can get that from me if you are in Discord as well. Let's see what else we got. Sheldon Creed, man. I was on Sheldon Creed last week. He did exactly what he was expected to do. But he's 10,000 today, starting 15th. I got Sheldon Creed for solid. I kind of feel like 8th today, man. I got him at 42.9 points. So it's probably not going to be Sheldon Creed, sadly. Now that's a driver. Unlike this fella, I would really like to watch a Sheldon Creed win. I would actually be very happy to see Sheldon Creed win a race. In Xfinity. Okay, very like my thing with Creed is he won in the truck series, no lie, but because he had GMS's best equipment and he would win. And then the reason he stopped winning in the truck series is because he destroyed all of GMS's good equipment, all of the old KBM chassis they would use, all of the old can't even think of who used to be a Chevy manufacturer in the truck series, like fucking back in like 2018. Who was the favorite team? I'm pretty sure they even had like old Brad Keselowski racing chassis as well. But Creed destroyed them all. Like that's why he stopped winning. They didn't have any more cars. If you remember, they brought a new car to Texas in the truck series, and he was like stupid fast, and he wrecked on like lap 7 and destroyed it. Like Creed stopped winning because he just wasn't given the best equipment. He is in the best equipment he's had in like 7 years since the GMS days. Yet again, this will be a great race to see how far up the grid he gets. Because he's starting 15th, he should finish around 7th to 6th. If he finishes like 2nd to 3rd today on speed alone, we need to start jamming in Creed, man. That's the main thing that we want to see, especially when Chandler Smith is so fast and we expect so much from Ryan Truex. Like Creed based on equipment wise, he should be finishing 5th. I think he finishes like 7th to 8th today. But I would like to see Creed win unironically. No problem, Travis. I'm glad I could help you out. Like I said, I do apologize that I didn't have that stuff on screen until just now. So I do apologize for that, guys. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Yeah, I got there. Oh, well. It happens. Why are people talking about Creed today, man? What's going on? Like, I don't even know how you land on Creed. I mentioned it when I did that like bullshit like balanced build, and I was like, well, I guess you have 10K left. Like, then you get to Creed, but like, who's prioritizing Creed here? What the hell? It's Chandler Smith and Justin Allgaier. These are the two best cars at intermediate tracks, and Chandler Smith is the fastest car here. Like, why would you not just jam in Chandler Smith? You know, it's just crazy. Kind of going like we have practice going on, and we have the Larson and Byron talk tomorrow that we're gonna have to deal with. Yet again, I don't think. I mean, maybe it's because his track history here will bump up Byron, but going forward between these two individual drivers, like clearly I like Byron because he's been underowned. I don't think he's ever going to eclipse Larson's ownership, but if we get to intermediate tracks to where Byron is higher owned than Larson, then that logic flips instantly for me to where I'm overweight on whoever the field is. Whoever is lower owned between these two, that's what I want to be on. It should keep being Byron. But like if for whatever reason he's expected to be higher owned than Larson at any given track, then it's like we're back to Larson. Same thing here. Like Chandler Smith should be like just a lock at these tracks, and the fact that we're gonna get Chandler Smith, like Kyle Busch yesterday was like mid 30s, 38, 36 or something. Like Chandler Smith is gonna be like at 39, 38, 37 today. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like that's underowned compared to where he should be. So like that's just same thing with like Justin Allgaier. Where's Justin at in terms of ownership? Like, is Justin's gonna be the highest owned guy? Like, what the hell? I didn't even bother looking at this. And even then, if neither of them eclipse 40% ownership, then playing them together is still fantastic. I don't get why people wouldn't play Justin Allgaier and Chandler Smith today. I'm baffled by that. It makes no sense. Oh, is Creed a tuck his ears under the hat type of guy? I hate those like flat bill shirts or whatever. Or shirts, hats. I can't do that. Betting on Creed saying, "Oh, yeah, that's fine." I don't know, and it's not even like I was right, I was wrong. I frankly don't give a shit. I just projected Kyle Busch to win the race, and lead a lot of laps. Like that's just where I was at. It's not even like, oh, I was right, I was wrong. So somebody wasn't, somebody was. Like it's not even that. It's just you know. I just play whatever my projections tell me to play. Last man in AJ or yeah, AJ or Sammy Smith. What the heck? Wow, that is very ugly. Sammy Smith or AJ? What kind of build is this? How do you land at 9? Shoot, man. Dude, I honestly I would play Taylor Gray. Would I? Man, last guy in. You don't have to tell me your lineup, but just answer this. Do you have both Chandler Smith and Allgaier in that lineup? Based on that, if you have both of them in there, then I think you go Sammy Smith. If you don't, then I think you play Taylor Gray. That is the decision that I would probably make on that. Yeah, like how did we cash with Ankrum? What are people doing? Like it's insane. That's why I'm another reason being is like, hold on, I got a cough. Hold on. Let me mute my mic. That's why, especially in NASCAR, especially in these lower series, I'm so aggressive on being 100% on people because, like, even when they crash out, I somehow still cash. Like, it's not even that big of a risk to me. I just don't get how people. I that is one of my biggest shocks of this year is like, how do these lines even get in the cash zone? Like, there's no. I'm baffled. I'm confused. It's wild. Do you have a preference between Smith, Williams, Custer, or Retzlaff? Yes, I do. Now, Darren, I'm not going to eat into you because I know you watch a lot. I know you're just joining and stuff. My preference would probably be Retzlaff. I'm assuming it's Chandler Smith that you're asking for. My priorities would be, or if this is a 2v2, it would be, where's Williams at? Where's Josh Williams starting? It's 22nd. I would just default to the Chandler Smith Williams 2v2 because I like Chandler Smith more. Heim, Ryan Sieg are both. I'm assuming that's Ryan Sieg based on the question. Do you already have Parker in that line, Sterling? Because I really like Corey Heim and Parker Retzlaff together. I'm probably not playing Ryan Sieg personally. But that's where I'm at. And what are we at? We got 2 hours and 30 minutes until the slate locks. Been live for around 45 minutes. It is Ryan and I don't. Yeah, I'd like Corey Heim and Parker Retzloff if we're in that range, because I know the build that you're kind of at. That's basically where I'm at, and I just would prioritize Parker and Corey over Ryan Sieg. That's where I'm at. I think I've covered about everything, most opinions that I had. Very quick recap. I think one of Ryan Ellis, Honeyman, or Chad Fitcham in each line makes a lot of sense because they could very easily hit value and score. I mean, not even hitting value. Like, they can easily score 25 points, like either of those guys when we get Rex. I love SVG today, 72, 100. I like Parker Retzloff. I like Corey Heim. I like Parker Kligerman. Those are people that I kind of want to get to, depending on what punt I'm using. And then I like Chandler Smith and Allgaier as the guys I want to chase for the win today. It's Texas, so there's going to be some chaos, clearly at some form or fashion. But yet again, so important, we just don't know who it's going to be. And yeah, past that, I think we've about covered everything. If you guys have any more questions, if you're in the Discord, feel free to ask me. I know I got to respond and read through some of the stuff that Astukas and ACS is talking about. Thank you for the compliment on good take on Custer. I don't. That's where I'm at. Coming from somebody who's played a lot of Custer at the end of last year and at the start of this year, it has not been this data point that has been concerning. It has not been this at all. It's been where he's been falling in these races, and he has been underperforming hugely in the races. That is the main concern, and that's why I use that data point as my baseline, or as my focal point of where are these guys performing in races. When I look at their top 5, top 10 percentage, their running position, and what the pit crew is doing. And Cole Custer has been the 6th to 7th best car in situations where he has shown let's look at let's see. Let me take this off real fast because I don't know. I'll get that back. Let me just get to my drive. Let's look at where are we at here? Okay, I put this back up on the screen. Let's look at Las Vegas for Custer. So I don't believe they qualified tonight. Somebody correct me, but I'm pretty sure they qualified, or not qualified. I'm pretty sure they practiced in the middle of the day. And so I've already moved. Yeah, I've already moved Xfinity to Las Vegas. So let's go ahead and look through here. We got trucks, Xfinity. So when you look at Las Vegas, Cole Custer started first. I had him projected to run away with this race. This is where I was at. And when we look at the practice laps, we saw Cole Custer have really, really good speed and virtually no fall off. And then when we looked at where he was at here, this is where Cole Custer was at in practice for Las Vegas. And then when you look at let's go to Racing Reference really fast. That'll be an easy thing to show. So this is where Custer was at Las Vegas. And then when we look at what he did in that race, and yet again, this is not, we'll look at Custer specifically in these races in general. And it's more so Herbst has been doing the same thing. Now, Herbst has been starting farther back, but he's been practically finishing in the same places that Cole Custer has been finishing and running. So Custer finishes second in this race, but he leads no laps. And oh man, this doesn't have average rank position. Son of a bitch! I don't want to go through another. If you look at where Custer fell in this race, he was running 4th to 7th, and he got passed by Nemechek. He got passed by Chandler Smith. He was racing right with his teammate. He was basically getting beat by Austin Hill. This is concerning. This is really, really, really concerning from Cole Custer that he had this type of car at Las Vegas and didn't do anything with it. And so when we're looking at Texas here and we see the same thing from Custer again, that's where I'm I'm gonna probably be under my expectations on Custer just because he's underperformed not just this year, but when we look at what he was doing at the end of last year, and then just in general, if we combine that with where Custer has been this season, in terms of practice data. No, we don't got to look at all the practice data and stuff, but like in terms of where he's starting and where he's finishing, he's been underperforming in every single race so far. And Herbst isn't falling into that line as bad. Like let's find Herbst his stuff because he's been starting farther back and he's been involved in a lot of wrecks. He may have been wrecked out in this one. Let's see. Where is Riley Herbst? Where we at? So if we look at where this fella's been, so this is where Custer has been, and we look at where Herbst has been. He's actually been performing worse. I mean, well, this is crash and crash, but like fifth, right where Cole Custer was, racing right beside him. Just underperformed and just performed bad at Richmond and stuff. But like that is an issue that SHR has been running into currently that I think is to be of note of where you're at. Because if you just see like, oh man, Cole Custer finished second at Las Vegas, you're like, he did pretty decent. That was a horrific race based on the expectation of where he was at in practice. We started on the pole. He didn't do a fucking thing in that race, man. So that's why I'm probably not going to be on Custer today, actually. And the more I think about this, I'm just not going to play Custer. I just don't think it's worth it. And if he proves me wrong, then I can jump back on him at Dover and stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, for sure, man. That's exactly what Herbst is going to do, man. Like if in the anomaly that Herbst has the best car, some bitch we'll run into something here. What time is it over there in Japan? I think I've asked you this before, but like I don't know what time it would be over there. Let's see. What is Chance talking about? Playing two lines. Better play Chandler Smith Allgaier on the same line or have same lineup I like with one. So that's a really great question. And 14 hours. Okay, so dude, don't make me do fucking math. 14 hours. So that's it's midnight over there. No, yeah. Okay, we'll be midnight. See, don't make me do math. Even like the fucking time on the clock, I'll stumble over, man. But yeah, so thanks for joining me at midnight. Hopefully watching all the wrestling and stuff and hanging out over there. Your tiny house is still going well. Going back to Chance's question, this is why I like being very aggressive in terms of building lineups, because ideally you'd want to do, I'm assuming you're stuck with just the two lines. So I'm going to answer this. If you were doing two lineups, I like playing both Chandler Smith and Allgaier in both the lineups and prioritizing where the rest of that lineup falls in line at, because I would rather be more aggressive on seeing that those guys should be the people who run 1 and 2 and the most likely drivers who swap the lead. Whereas if you're building a lineup with one or the other, each lineup is dependent on that guy leading the race and basically locking out the other individual. And so that by itself throws out one of the lineups from cashing, because if you have, one line with Chandler Smith and one line with Allgaier, even if both lead in the race, and there's a real chance that if both lead in the race, neither of those line up cash because you need the opposite guy. So I'd rather be wrong about having both those two individual drivers in the lineup than building with one or the other. Because then like the five drivers that you have in the rest of the lineup are probably going to be different builds or differently, depending on, extra salary you have by not playing one of the other two expensive guys. To whereas like kind of going back, like I'd rather prioritize, those two guys who lead the laps. I'm assuming you're playing SVG. Like I like SVG. He shows up as a guy who's going to be optimal with those two other plays. Let me focus on nailing the rest of that lineup. I don't know. I feel like that's easier for me to do. Now, there's more risk because like if one of those guys wreck out, then both those lineups aren't cashing. But I have found more success being aggressive with builds in that way. So answering that question for chance, that's how I would answer that. Past that, that's kind of where we're at. I am not playing UFC unless I win. Unless I win Money Day, I'm not playing UFC at all. I have no interest in doing that because I've been slaughtered every time I play UFC. I just get creamed. It's not even fun. There's been so many, I've had multiple situations to where I have the optimal lineup entering the final fight, and it's like, all right, who do I need to win? The fucking underdog. Fuck. And then they get knocked out in like the first 20 seconds, and I go from having the optimal lineup of being like 200 in the 15 to finishing like 3,000, 4,000. Like it's I have never performed well in UFC. I'll watch the fight today because it's going to be a phenomenal card, but I have no interest in playing UFC unless I just have the money to throw away. Like real talk, like a $30 entry into MMA. You want to talk about a fucking sweat, man? That would probably be the most fun UFC slate that there might be. Especially like if you had the money to do, especially because a $30 entry fee locks out a lot of people like me. Like I cannot afford to do $30 entries for UFC. But if you're like an MMA guy, you should fucking stomp the damn field. You 150 max the $30 UFC. I think you got a fucking real chance of hitting it because there are going to be so many good players that are just stuck playing 10, 28 lineups. Like 10 lineups, $300. That is such an expensive contest. And it's still at the price tag to where you're going to have a lot of casuals enter like 1, 2, 3 lineups. I think there's a lot of dead lineups in the 30 today. Like if I had the money, I would love to play the 30 today. But I don't. Unless does somebody want to stake me tonight? Give me 1,500. I'll play UFC today. I'll have a good time. I'll use Sheets projections. I think Sheets has a real chance of winning today. Like I would not be shocked to see Sheets have a lot of lineups in contention today. He has the bankroll. He has the knowledge of UFC. He does so good in UFC. Yet again, I guess I'm just selling his stuff now. Like Sheets does very well in UFC. He has very accurate ownership projections. He is very, very good builds. When you look at how he builds for UFC, like this is a Sheets contest. And if I was playing a 30, I'd want to be using his stuff today. What else we got here? I think that's mainly about it. I think we've touched on everything. I like Chandler Smith. I like Allgaier. I like paying up for place differential in the 7K and 8K range. And that's where I'm going to be. I will see you guys tomorrow. Same time, probably 10:15 Eastern time. And we'll talk about the Cup Series. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for always supporting me and subscribing and liking the videos and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.